Yo, use this instead of the knife, man. I don't have room to keep hiding all these bodies. Alright, I'm just making this quick little update video of the work I've got done so far on my NAT project. So starting over here, I got the aeromotive fuel pressure regulator with the aeromotive gauge. And this is the rising rate with the boost. So raises your fuel pressure as the boost rises. Then I have a fitting coming off of here to the fuel rail. I tapped and I got the fitting on there. And I'm going to try to put in the description a list of all like the fittings and sizes and stuff that I used. A lot of this stuff I've had laying around from other builds, so like all the intercooler piping is from like a Honda turbo build, and you know, the intercooler is an actual CX Racing made for the is300. I got off a marketplace for like $100. But yeah, I got the fuel system, and then I got the line coming off the other fitting here going to the fuel pump. Alright, and then back in the car under the rear seat where the fuel pump and stuff is at, I just have the cover pulled off. I have the return line there going to this brass fitting, and I have nylon washers and like a bulkhead fitting that attaches to another barred fitting on the inside, and that goes to the loop and stuff. I have a whole video on how I modified the fuel pump hanger for a return. Alright, and back up here you can see that little fitting down there, that little brass guy. That is a little block that has a couple of fittings on it. So I took the oil pressure sensor off and then put the brass fitting on there, and then hooked the oil pressure sensor up to the fitting, and on the other side of the fitting I have it blocked off, and then there's one more spot, and then that goes to this line, comes across here to the top of the turbo. The other spot on that block that's blocked off, I'm going to be using for an oil pressure gauge here soon. I just have to wait for the little sending unit thing. But then, as far as the drain, there was enough room between the runners. I have a fitting, I think it's 45-degree coming off, and then the hose comes down. You can't really see it. But to the oil drain, which I tapped, drilled and tapped that, and there's AN fitting on there to a barb. It goes to I think it's 5/8 or 5/16 hose for the drain. And this air intake tube is just temporary right now. I just had it on there. I'm gonna have a buddy weld some aluminum. I have some pieces. I don't have a aluminum welder, so, but the tube is pretty much gonna come over here and have the filter out of the way. And then I also have this shield that was from the SRT intake and stuff. So I'm gonna be using this. That tube there will come through this top hole, and then I'm gonna drill a hole here for that tube to come through, and then the filter will be blocked off from all the heat, plus everything like the manifold is heat wrapped, turbo blanket, downpipe, and then I'm gonna be using heat shield stuff as well. Like all these wires and stuff are gonna be wrapped, all hoses, just to be sure. Heat soak is a bitch. So then up here, this 45 is I believe 2.75 inch for the intake manifold to a 2.5 for all the intake tubing. And then this was one of them cheap eBay map housings, because the one I had was way bigger. I didn't want to go from like 3 inch to 2, you know. So I got that map sensor there. And then the HKS sequential blow-off valve, which is an eBay knockoff, I'm sure. And then the ABS delete, which was easy and free. If you check out my part 1 video in the build series, I have a playlist too. I show how to relocate the ABS unit over here where the battery was for free without having to open anything. That made a lot more room. And also the O2 bungs I welded in the first and last primary. Shout out Vegas Alex for all the tips and stuff. Go check out his videos. As for the battery relocation, I have this, I don't know what it's called, this thing, little battery post thing and bolts to the firewall, and then I got the original power wire going there, and then this cable goes through a hole in a grommet through here all the way to the back of the trunk. And also I have the air injection here for the fuel rail. I have that completely blocked off because you don't want that seeing boost inside of there. Probably won't be good. And to plug it, I just have a piece of hose, and then I had a broken extension, 3/8 extension that I just cut in my bandsaw, little mini plugs, and they seal perfectly. And then this PCV valve thing here I also have blocked off, and I siliconed it so it sealed pretty good. I still need to run the hoses from here over to here. I don't know if I'm gonna make a catch can or just buy one, but I got plenty enough room over here for that and the hoses. And as for the wastegate lines and stuff, I have a barb fitting that I drilled and tapped on the turbo housing itself, teed off to the blow-off valve and the wastegate. And then for the boost gauge, I have a line running from this one into the firewall, and then for the fuel pressure regulator, I have it coming off of here, and then I also have a check valve in place so it only sees boost. These things from the factory, if you're using the stock ECU, the fuel pressure doesn't change. So you want that set, and then you want it to rise with boost. So then I also have a check valve over here for the butterfly valve, so that only sees vacuum. There's a couple more. I need to actually take the intake off and take this whole butterfly valve thing out because Vegas Alex said he had a boost leak from here, so he just tapped and threaded this hole with some silicone to seal it off. So that's what I'll be doing soon. Currently the battery is dead, so I need a new battery and air fuel ratio gauge. But a couple more things and this thing will be ready to be fired up. Here's some turbo sounds.